All right, the time is now 7 p.m. It is Thursday, October 17th. It is time for the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Guests, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Where is my agenda? Did I steal it? You might have. There you go. That's okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. My name is Bruce Simon, our normal chair. Barry Tesseyman was not feeling well tonight, so I'm subbing in for him as the chair tonight. First on the agenda, we have Suffern Auto Service, 20 Wayne Avenue, which I believe our attorney Dennis is going to speak to.
Yes, the attorney for the applicant, Richard Ellsworth, by email has requested an adjournment of this application to the November meeting, which I understand is November 21st, 2024. And the chairman, who's not here this evening, was communicating to me through Melissa, our clerk secretary, that the chairman spoke with Mr. Ellsworth and that the chairman was okay with granting another adjournment. As you may know, adjournments typically, customarily, and perhaps statutorily must be by mutual consent of the board and the applicant, and I assume, unless there's an objection from any of the members here, that you would agree with the chairman that an adjournment would be appropriate. I did communicate to Mr. Ellsworth that I would be suggesting to you, the board, that I think you should make this the final adjournment. As you may all know, this was first scheduled in July. It was adjourned by mutual consent to August, then it was adjourned again by mutual consent to September, and by mutual consent again to October. So that's July, August, September, October. Maybe not July, but certainly August, September, and tonight. So this will be the fourth adjournment, at least the fourth adjournment. And I think because there are code violations pending against this property in the Suffern Village Justice Court, I think it would be appropriate to state that this would be the final adjournment, barring some sensible reason to adjourn it again in November, which of course you can always reconsider, but I would think until such another sensible, reasonable reason to adjourn this again from November to December, I would suggest that your motion, you don't have to do it by motion, but I would suggest a motion that you make this the final adjournment. Again, subject to adjourning it again if there should be a sensible reason to adjourn it again. So that's my suggestion. You can say so moved as recited by legal counsel, and that will be enough. I think Melissa, where is Melissa?
I'm right here. Up here.
You're hiding. Do you need me to repeat that? Is it okay if they just say so moved as recited by legal counsel?
I typed it all as you were talking.
All right, so again, my legal opinion is that it should be, I'm okay with you consenting to the adjournment because the chairman has indicated he was okay with it, and my suggestion is that it be a final adjournment except for a sensible reason to adjourn it further from November to December. So if you agree, any one of you can make a motion based upon my legal opinion by saying so moved as recited by legal counsel.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So for the record, the application for Suffern Auto Service regarding property 20 Wayne Avenue will be adjourned. The public hearing will remain open and be continued to the November 21, 2024 meeting of this board at 7:00 p.m. here in Village Hall. And by making that announcement, that obviates the need for any further additional or extra public notice will not need to be made. So Melissa, you do not need to post any signs, mail any letters, post anything on the website. No, you should do that. You should post on the website, but you don't have to publish anything in the newspaper. So that takes care of the public notice. All right, so that's it for Suffern Auto Service.
Thank you.
Acting chairman. We should select an acting chairman. because you're not the chairman, right?
I am not the chair.
So it would be appropriate, just for the record, that you guys choose someone to act as chairman or chairperson for tonight's festivities. Anyone want to choose an acting chairperson? Make a motion?
I make a motion to Mr. Simon to be the acting chair.
Second. Can I be LBJ? I will not accept.
So we have a motion and a second. We have a vote. We don't have to do a roll call. Is that unanimous? Lisa?
Aye.
I will recuse myself.
I don't think you have.
Self-serving.
Well, we have 3 in favor, so the motion carries. You are the acting chairperson for tonight's festivities. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Next up on the agenda, 202 LLC, located at 14 Wayne Avenue. No, let me read the legal notice into the record. Notice is hereby given that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Village of Suffern will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, October 17th, 2024 at 7:03 p.m. or as soon thereafter as possible at the Suffern Village Hall, 61 Washington Avenue, Suffern, New York, 10901 by 14 Wayne Avenue, 202 LLC, 16 Wayne Avenue, Suffern, New York, 10901, represented by Emmanuel Law, PC, 4 Laurel Road, New City, New York, 10956, seeking to demolish the existing 2-family dwelling on 14 Wayne Avenue and erect a 3-bay garage and parking pad. The variances required are front yard, required 30 feet, existing 1.9 feet, proposed 2.0 feet. Lot frontage required 100 feet, existing 80 feet, proposed 80 feet. Parking required 12 spaces, existing undefined, provided 1 space. The premises affected is situated on the north side of Wayne Avenue and is approximately 100 feet east of Hallett Place. The property is listed on the Village of Suffern and Town of Ramapo tax maps as Section 54.25-1-8. Mr. Manuel, the microphone is yours.
I don't know if Rob customarily does this, but is this the first time you're here, Ira?
Yes, it is.
So we need to open the public hearing. So Melissa, Rob says, I never do that. Have all public notices required by state and local law, Village of Suffern Code, been complied with to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they have.
Then a motion to open the public hearing would be appropriate, Mr. Acting Chairman.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
And we don't have to do a roll call.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening. Ira Emmanuel Law, PC, New City. I'm the attorney for the applicant. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Acting Chairman. You are settling in nicely, I see. This is an interesting application, actually. This is one of those situations where what the applicant wants to do makes a lot of sense from a business perspective, but it doesn't quite fit into the zoning code. And the reason why it doesn't fit into the zoning code is because the zoning code really doesn't deal with this type of business very well. This is an auto body repair business. If you've been to an auto body repair business, if you've had the misfortune of needing an auto body repair business, or even any kind of auto repair business, you know that the vehicles that are awaiting being worked on are not parked in regular, nice 9.5 by 18 parking spaces. They are put together, they're pretty much jammed in there because members of the public aren't the ones that are putting the cars where they are. It's the staff that's doing it, and businesses try to maximize the amount of land that they have. But the zoning code doesn't recognize the difference between storing vehicles while they're being worked on or after they're worked on waiting to be picked up, and parking. And so the zoning code has a requirement for a parking space that's 9.5 by 18. And if you measure that out, then this property is sorely deficient. However, this property is adjacent to an existing ongoing business, and the business has been there for quite some time and has been able to fit the vehicles in quite nicely. And if you took a look at the photographs that were appended to the narrative, you saw how those cars are nicely lined up. They are not lined up in your normal kind of stall parking space, but they are there and the property can fit them. What the applicant would like is to take a piece of property immediately next door and utilize it as part of the business. Currently, everything is done, all the body work is done in one building on 16 Wayne Avenue. Prep, mechanical repairs, painting. And the way it works is that if a car is there being painted, you can't have other work being done because obviously you've got to have protection for the workers. You don't want to have stray paint flying around. And so it's become very cumbersome for him. So he wants to buy 14, which is the next property over, or he actually has bought 14, which is the next property over, and wants to put up a 3-bay garage on that property. In this way, he'll be able to move all of his prep work into that garage so that he can do the body work and the painting in the existing building and have a more efficient turnover. In order to do that, a number of variances are required, and the acting chairperson has listed what those variances are. If you've read through the narrative, it goes into quite a bit of detail explaining how this works and the fact that he's able to put, I believe it's 31 vehicles on the two sites. Okay, taking advantage of the interior spaces within the building and the proposed building, which the building inspector, frankly, inexplicably refuses to count as parking spaces, even though your code specifically allows indoor parking spaces. And so we're left with this strange situation where even though we've got 3 bays, okay, and an exterior space, okay, the building inspector is saying we only have 1 parking space on 14 Wayne Avenue, when in fact we can fit more than 4 cars in there. So that's the basic premise of what we're seeking here. There's also a variance that's needed for lot frontage because the lot is only 80 feet wide. That's an existing condition. There's not much we can do about it. And a variance for front yard where 2 feet are proposed as opposed to the existing 1.9 feet, but 30 feet are required. And that is basically a function of the topography. If you know the site and all those sites along the north side of 202, there is a steep embankment up to the New York State Thruway and supporting the Thruway. So there's really very little room that they can go to move these things back. It is consistent with the front yards that you see on both sides of Route 202 in that location. Some of them are right up beyond the front yard and right up close to the roadway within the designated street line. So what we're asking for with respect to the front yard is basically allowing the building to be approximately the same place where the pre-existing building was. By the way, that old building was a house, okay, which was a non-conforming use in the GB district, and so we're taking that non-conforming use, removing it, and putting in a conforming use. And so we do have that benefit from a zoning perspective. Okay. If anybody has questions, we'd be happy to try to answer.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
It doesn't change my opinion of what we're seeing here. I'm just wondering why they're not merging the lots together and making the business just on one lot.
Finances. Finances.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Mr. Zavoski, Mr. Adwar?
No, sir.
Okay. I'd like to ask for a motion to open for anybody from the public who would like to come and ask any questions.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. I'm sorry. If you would like to speak, you need to stand up, please. We need to swear you in.
This gentleman is part of the applicant.
Okay.
Okay, but we need you to step to the microphone, please.
So I just want to
Please raise your hand.
Yes,
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Thank you. Your name, please?
John Calabro.
Spell that for us,
John
please.
Calabro, C-A-L-A-B-R-O.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to clarify as to what Mrs. Wilson just said. why not join lots? Now, as far as joining them with the town as making it a single lot or a single piece, that's one aspect. But the way it's being used, the blacktop between the two lots is continuous. There is no break. There's no separation between these two lots and these two properties. They are one continuous property as it is. So it will be used as if it was one continuous space for the purpose of creating a more efficient and better body shop and better business.
And there will be easements back and forth.
Yeah, I read that.
But to elaborate on the finances, basically there's a mortgage on 16 Wayne Avenue. There will be a mortgage taken out on 14 Wayne Avenue. And when you start merging the two together, it just makes the mortgage financing situation that much more difficult.
Okay.
But they will act as a single unit. The principles of the two entities that own the different properties is the same to Mr. Green, and we have already provided, as you saw in the narrative, that there will be cross easements, and the two properties will be tied together that way.
Mr. Manuel?
Yes.
As you've seen, the county sent their GML response.
Yes.
And it was fairly detailed. As you well know, we don't normally see multi-page entries like this, so would you mind going over some of the information for us?
Sure. First of all, we're not asking for any overrides. So I want to start with that. I'm surprised to hear that you don't see lengthy GMLs, because I've yet to see a short GML out of the county planning department.
It's not asking for any overrides. I mean, do you want him really to go through? It's up.
Fair enough.
So you're not asking for any overrides?
We're not asking for any overrides. Basically, the GML comes down to a couple of different categories. First of all, they want to make sure that you examine the various things that they have pointed out and that we believe that we have addressed in our narrative already. The second thing is they want to make sure that any other agency that needs to grant a permit has the opportunity to review and if necessary, to grant those permits. That's an ongoing process. Those are standard notes. And that's really it. That's basically the two categories of comments that they made. And so we have no problem, obviously, with the ZBA doing the investigation that it's supposed to do. And of course, if whatever permits are needed, the applicant will obtain.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the public? Please state your name for the record.
My name is Troy O'Hanlon.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
As I said, my name is Troy O'Hanlon. I own Auto House Collision on 12 Wayne Avenue, and I'm opposed to this project going forward.
Can you talk a little louder?
Sure. Is this working? I'm opposed to this. I own 7 properties on Wayne Avenue. I don't see this helping our parking situation at all. Also, with having a body shop right next door, and if they're using this as a prep department, they'll be priming in the building, they'll be working in the building. Where will the primer be vented? Will they have a spray booth in that building? How will this be set up? The idea that a parking space is smaller for a body shop than it is anywhere else, I strongly disagree with. A parking space is a parking space. A car is the same size. When I have my cars parked in my shop, you still need access to the doors, you still need access behind it, you still need access all around the car. I cannot park them on top of each other and still have the insurance company come by, evaluate the car for damage, or any other repair process that has to be done. So if they're not even close with adding this added structure, I can't understand how we would allow something like this. There's already a congested problem in the area, and with an auto body shop, there's a ratio of about 4 to 1 for spaces you need outside for every inside space because of the time that we're waiting. So if you just add 3 more spaces, that's a minimum of 12 that you would need for outside, and they only have 1. So I can't understand, with the investment that I have in this neighborhood, why they would allow a variance for this property. Another resident wanted the same thing. Mr. Renwick tried to do the same thing with a piece of property he bought, and he could not do it, and they would not allow him to go forward. So I don't understand why this would be done now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any further comments from the board members?
I have one question. What business did this prior gentleman represent? Was it Royal Coach?
What's that?
What was your business?
Auto house.
Auto House.
Yes.
Mr. Emanuel?
Thank you. I think what the gentleman's very first comment that he made is perhaps the most relevant. He's a competitor. Okay? He's a competitor. And he doesn't want competition, even though it's existing competition. He doesn't want another competitor who's able to do things in a more productive and more efficient manner. The idea that expanding the business to another lot would create a parking problem, frankly, is just absurd on its face. They'll have more room. This applicant will have more room to store vehicles that are being worked on. They'll be more efficient in working on those vehicles. So, I mean, the argument is just absurd. The idea that the cars on this lot are going to be so jammed in that they can't get into the car, that they can't open the doors, is also absurd. So I think you should take the gentleman's comments for what they're worth, coming from a competitor, okay, and applying your own common sense.
I have a question. Wasn't
Yes.
it, I thought I understood that the new building was not the paint building.
It's not.
It's not, so the venting questions don't apply to the new
Correct.
building.
Well, to the extent that you need venting, just, normal ventilation, but you don't need special venting for this, correct?
Am I wrong? I am, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Please.
Yes?
And by the way, okay, any questions with respect to ventilation are not the purview of this board. That's a building department issue.
Members of the board, I would agree with that statement, that last statement by Mr. Emanuel. Ventilation and the health impacts and environmental impacts of any painting that might be done, which according to the applicant is not going to be done in this building, but even if it is, that's not within your jurisdiction. That's not within your powers to review.
Thank you. Mr. O'Hanlon?
As far as the competition, I could care less in what the competition or what there is in the area, and I don't consider it a business competition. It's not a concern at all. What I'm concerned about is the aesthetics of the area and my investment in the property. And I've invested a lot of money in that neighborhood. I own 7 properties there, and it's going to devalue my properties. The work of prep work, if they're not priming in that building, and if they don't have any ability to do priming in that building, they would not spend more than an hour in each bay in that building. So therefore, there's going to be more traffic of going in and out. I'm sure that in the prep work, when you talk about prep work, you take a car from the body work and you prime it, then you block prime it, and you prepare it for painting. And that's what you would be doing, and then they bring it to a spot in the paint booth where it would be sprayed. A space is a space. If you have a minimum of 12 and you only have 1, that doesn't work. And as far as the idea that I'm a competitor, that means nothing. I'm a business owner, and I'm a businessman, and you're devaluing the property, and you haven't allowed anybody else to do that. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a question for you, sir. Sir?
Troy?
Yes.
You said you have 7 properties?
Yes.
Are they all automotive related?
No.
Or they're just?
No.
Okay.
I have mixed-use buildings, I have residential, two-family houses, I have multiple properties in the
In the
area.
same proximity?
Same proximity. I own 7 properties on Wayne Avenue and Hallett Place, and I own other properties. And I've made a considerable investment in the area, and I won't see it destroyed.
Thank you.
Mr. Manuel, would you let this young man, the young man would like to address?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please, step up to the microphone. Step up to the microphone, please. State your name.
Hello? Okay.
Your name, sir.
My name is Uriah the Juice. Okay, so, like, obviously you may know that, like, I have
Please, speak to us. He can
Oh,
hear
speak
you,
to
but
us?
you need
Okay.
to speak to us.
Address
All right.
them, and they'll ask me to respond.
Okay, so obviously, you know, I have to, like, write this down or whatever. So what is his company? That was my main question.
Okay. Emmanuel Law PC,
Where is this located?
New City.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Emmanuel would like to address the young man's question.
I think you did so ably, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Acting Chairman, please.
Acting Chairman.
Do not
Well,
put
you
anything
know,
on.
we can hope.
No. I'm good.
You know, if the board wants to get into the drits and drats of how an auto body repair business works, or more accurately, how my client's auto body repair business intends to work, he's here, and he can go through that with you. But to say that this is going to be an eyesore, okay, first of all, we have to go back to the planning board, okay? And the planning board has regulations with respect to what this site plan is going to look like. There needs to be landscaping, there will be landscaping along the frontage. The cars will be set back behind that landscaping. I believe, actually, you have a landscaping plan that has been submitted to you. Okay, which would make it probably far nicer than any of the other auto body and auto repair shops that are along Wayne Avenue. Yes, you did receive a landscaping plan, and it does show landscaping in front of the proposed building, you know, along with the existing landscaping that's on the other property. In addition, since you mentioned the GML before, one of the things that the GML review was concerned with was other repair shops that parked their vehicles on the sidewalk. I can't sit here today and tell you that that's what's going on with Auto House. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Excuse
okay?
me, Mr.
But it's-
Emmanuel, we don't have the landscaping diagram.
You don't?
No, I don't see it. And if you,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and I can see that you'd want to add aesthetics to the property, but we don't have anything to...
I thought it was included in the submission that we sent. I apologize. You know, it's generally not needed for a ZBA matter. I can bring it up if you'd like. That's up to you.
We could just take a quick glance.
Shall I bring it up? Yes, please. I'll start with you, Mr. Zavoski, since you asked about it. Thank you. I'll work my way down. So this is the landscaping plan. This is the proposed building, and you can see various trees and shrubs that are going to be in front of the building.
So it'll give an aesthetic quality.
Yes. Right.
I'm sorry?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
This is the landscaping plan. This is the planning board. There's a variety of trees and shrubs that are directly in front of the proposed building.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
And Reimer, you can walk through them also if you'd like. This is the proposed building. As you can see, there are various trees and shrubs here. The names of the shrubs are down there.
Was this included in your plan?
It's included in the plan.
But not what you submitted for the board?
No.
Okay.
Planning board.
Okay.
For the record, according to the plan, we're talking about 8 wintergreen boxwood and 12 sunburst hibernum. 12 sunburst hypencum, I'm sorry.
For the record, we want to be accurate, Mr. Emanuel. Okay. If there are no other questions, I have a few I'd like to ask. Is there, based on something you said before, is there anything in the code of the Village of Suffern that you are aware of that designates that auto businesses can have different sized parking spaces than any other business?
No, there's not, and that's part of the reason why we're here. If there was something in the code that addressed that, then we might have been able to take advantage of that provision. I do know that there are other communities that do recognize the difference between parking of vehicles and storage of vehicles in connection with repair shops and automotive dealers. Suffern doesn't have any automotive dealers. It's perhaps, and most of these repair shops have been here for a long, long time. So perhaps that's the reason why it hasn't been addressed. But no, there is nothing in the code that I'm aware of.
Okay, something else I was curious about. In the GML letter, it asked, based on the number of vehicles that are currently parked on the properties because of the way the business works, by tearing down the house and adding in the 3-bay garage, you're going to be increasing the amount of traffic. I don't mean the amount of people driving up on side. There are going to be more vehicles because there's going to be more business, one would hope, in business.
Potentially.
If there is a problem with parking vehicles now, how does this plan address adding more vehicles to the property? And as part of that question, they brought up handicap parking access.
Right. We do have a handicap, there is a handicap parking space that is designated over at 16 Lane. And that space is there, and that is the space that would be needed for the business. So that's that issue that already exists. With respect to whether or not there would be a parking problem created by this, that's not necessarily the case. The business can only handle a certain amount of vehicles based upon its space needs. What it's looking for is a more efficient way of handling the vehicles that are there so that jobs can be done more quickly, vehicles can be fixed more quickly. So because you're going to have more rapid turnover, you may actually have a better parking situation because the cars are not going to have to sit there and wait for space to be free within the existing building.
Okay. There were other things, but it's going to come back to me in a moment.
Okay.
Ms. Wilson, do you have any other questions?
I do not.
Mr. Adwar? I do not. Mr. Zavoski?
No, not at this time.
Okay. And I guess then we are at the point of asking for a motion.
To close the public hearing,
We'll start to close the public hearing. And then
if you've heard all the testimony that you would like to hear, if there's anyone else out in the world.
Excuse me, Mr. Acting Chairman, gentlemen.
Okay, please. Your name, please?
Finnegan Mitchell. I'm just confused, like, if there are people living in these homes, like, why are we demolishing the house for a couple of parking spaces?
Thank you.
The house has already been demolished and it's a non-conforming use. You're welcome.
Good question, thank you.
So to answer your question, if you don't have any request or need or desire to hear further testimony or information, documentation, or report from some consultant, in other words, if you've got all the information and documentation and reports that you need or require to render a decision on this application, you're certainly welcome to close the public hearing.
Okay, Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Before you vote on it, once you close the public hearing, I don't know how strict Rob Magrino, who normally would be sitting here, he's the actual attorney for this board, I'm just filling in as a substitute. That's for them. I don't know how strict he is, but after you close the public hearing, you cannot hear testimony from anyone, not even Mr. Emmanuel. You can only hear legal counsel from your attorney. That's it. You can't receive any further correspondence or reports. It's over, you're a jury deliberating, and no one else can give you any further evidence or testimony, okay? So you're aware of that.
Thank you, sir.
Over for Rob?
Sorry?
No.
I second Lisa's motion.
Okay. All in favor of closing the meeting, closing the hearing? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye, okay, unanimous. Okay. All right. Would anybody on the board like to make a motion regarding the request from the applicant?
Mr. Acting Chairman?
Yes, sir. Or should we go each potential variance? one at a time?
Let me just run through the criteria real quick.
Okay.
Do any of you feel that an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of these area variances? How do you guys feel about that? This is an informal poll, so why don't you invite your fellow members to chime in if they, again, the question is, do any of you feel that an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of these area variances?
I do not.
I don't. I think it's the same type of business. They're going to do some aesthetic things to make it more appealing from as you're going down the street. So I don't see anything to change. I think it's more of the same.
I do not.
I do, because of the lot requirements and the square footage we're talking about.
So again, that's not a formal vote, so we have 3 that are favorable as far as criteria 1, and 1 member who's not favorable to criteria 1. Second criteria is whether, do any of you feel that the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than by the granting of the area variances? If you want me to repeat that, I'd be happy to. Do any of you feel that the benefit that's sought by the applicant, can that be achieved by the applicant by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than by the granting of these area variances?
I do not.
I do not.
No, I don't either.
I don't think so.
Okay, so that's 4 in favor of criteria 2 and 0 not, 4-0, good enough. Do any of you feel that the requested area variances are substantial? Do any of you feel that the requested area variances are substantial?
Yes.
Okay, so 1 says substantial so far.
I do not.
I do not.
I'm kind of in the middle, but I'll go with do not. I don't think it's...
So 3, not substantial, 4 out of 5. Do any of you feel that the proposed area variances will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or the zoning district? Again, do any of you feel that the proposed area variances will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? Regarding the environmental conditions, I'll just give you just legal counsel. The Planning Board is the lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA, as you know, or as you may know, and they've already adopted a negative declaration, which you probably know means that the Planning Board has performed and underwent or undergone an environmental review under SECRA and has determined that there will be no potential for significant adverse environmental impacts. That's what a negative declaration means. In this case, the negative is good for the environment. So as far as the environmental conditions in the neighborhood, your district, that's already been answered by the lead agency, in this case being the planning board, declaring that there will be no potential for significant environmental impact. So I'm not saying how you should answer that question, but something for you to think about. So how many of you feel that the proposed area variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood district?
I do.
I do not.
I do not.
Do not.
3-1.
So 3-1. And lastly, I can tell you that the difficulty that the applicant is facing in his need for these area variances, it is self-created, but you should also understand that this consideration under New York State Village law, in and of itself, is relevant to your decision, but in and of itself is not a basis for you to deny the application. So it is a self-created hardship. It's something you should consider, but in and of itself, it's not something that should preclude you from granting the area variances. Something to consider. So do any of you feel that the self-created hardship aspect of this application is enough for you to deny this application?
I do not.
I do not.
I don't.
I do.
3-1. So based upon the informal polling, it looks like we have a majority of the board, 3 members, that are in favor of granting these area variances. Is everyone in agreement here that as far as my summary of the informal polling, that it's a 3-1 generally? I know on one of these criteria it was 4-0, but generally it's 3-1 in favor of the granting of the area variances based upon your reviewing of the considerations that you're mandated to consider under New York State Village law. Is that correct?
Yes.
Those are the facts.
All right. So, that's all I have to say. Any one of you can make a motion, and I would suggest the motion would be based upon what we just discussed. In my legal opinion, would be appropriate for any member of the board to make a motion to approve the area variances as requested and as depicted and illustrated and set forth on the drawings and plans that are before you this evening, and they are, I think, just 2 sheets that I see. There may be more that's going before the planning board, but there's also a landscaping plan that's much smaller. But the 2 sheets, the large ones, are under the signature and seal of Paul Gdansky as a New York State licensed professional engineer, and they are most recently dated July 18 of 2024 on both sheets. And the sheets are numbered number 1 of 5 and number 4 of 5. Again, most recently dated July 18 of 2024, and under the signature and seal of Paul Gdansky as a New York State licensed professional engineer. There also was a landscaping drawing. I don't have that
Yes, I
handy.
think he brought it up. I think.
Here it is. Here it is.
Mr. Acting Chairman, I can give you...
I have it.
I can give you
And that's
my...
also under the signature and seal of Paul Gdansky as a New York State
Got
licensed
it.
professional engineer, also dated most recently July 18, 2024, and that's enumerated page 3 or drawing 3 of 5. So are those the drawings that reflect the area variances? Those are the drawings that reflect the area variances that your motion would be approving. And I think that's it. We don't have to concern ourselves with the GML because the applicant has indicated that they can comply and will comply with all of the Rockland County Planning Department's October 11, 2024 GML report. So if any one of you agree with my legal opinion, or if you have any questions for me, I'm certainly happy to answer them. You could say "so moved," which is again to approve the area variances as reflected in those drawings and as we discussed. And you could say "so moved" as recited by legal counsel.
So moved as decided by legal counsel.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Okay.
The ayes have it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your
Manuel.
time. Thank you for the students. Thank you. Mr. Acting Chairman and board members, I've been doing this for almost 44 years. It's the first time I've gotten applause like that.
I think they were clapping for
For it being over.
It wasn't for me, of that I'm confident. All right.
Sorry if I was more.
No, not at all. Not at all. Moving on. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes of the September 19th, 2024 ZBA meeting?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I second it. Mr. Adwar.
All in favor? Aye. Any miscellaneous items? Any old business, any new business anybody wants to discuss? Then we shall confirm our November meeting for November 21st. I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. Do I have that in front of me? Sorry, one other thing.
Sure, that was the Here's, if you want a copy. That's just the stuff I read in.
Where is the appendix? I don't think, this is on me, this is not you, I don't think. Do you need me to read them? Folks, we're almost done.
Guys, excuse me, we're not finished yet.
You throw it on.
Okay, please bear with me, I need to read something into the record. No. Okay. We need to adopt Suffern Zoning Board of Appeals findings of fact and decision regarding the application of Moshe Rosenbaum Amsel at 29 Sagamore Avenue in Suffern, New York, Section 55.79, Block 1, Lot 1, Zoning District R15. The application number was Z2024-07. The hearing date was August 22nd and continued September 19th. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Ms. Wilson, is there a second? Mr. Adwar? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There is one more. Another finding of fact and decision, application of 99 Washington LD Holdings, LLC, located at 99 Washington Avenue in Suffern, Section 54.21, Block 2, Lot 12, Zoning District R2R-5. Application number Z2024-04. The hearing was September 19th, 2024. Is there a motion to adopt?
I make a motion to adopt.
Mr. Adwar, is there a second?
Second?
Ms. Wilson is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's it? Okay. Setting the November meeting for Thursday, November 21st. Okay? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Wilson, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Zavoski, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.